Oh, hey there. Welcome to the Magma's Corner. This episode will be something I've always wanted to do, a versus series where I'll take two people or two teams from animes, games, TVs, or comics. I will talk about both or have a guest on here who will debate for their character or team that they are representing. And at the end, you, the viewer, get to decide the winner by voting on the comments below. So with everything said and done, let's get started with this episode, which is presented by the 2021 Gamers. And the first versus episode is Power Rangers Time Force versus Power Rangers SPD, two police futuristic teams. In the year 3000, humankind has evolved into a utopia where a police organization called Time Force has tracked down every single criminal, and except for Rancid, who hijacks a prison full of cryogenically frozen convicts and escapes to the year 2001 in the hopes of altering the course of history, but not before fatally striking down the Red Time Force Ranger, Alex. The four Time Force officers responsible for Rancid's escape, including Alex's fiancée, Jen, pursue him through the time and end up in the fictional city of Silver Hills, where they are acquainted with the 21st century by Wesley Collins, the son of a rich industrialist and a dead ringer for Alex due to him being Alex's distant but still direct ancestor. Despite Jen's initial reluctance, West eventually joins the team as the fifth member and the new Red Ranger. The Time Force Rangers both defend Silver Hills from the onslaught of Rancid's mutants and attempt to keep the original timeline from drastically altering. Okay, so that is the 9th Power Ranger team, Time Force, which is the adaptation of the Super Sentai Time Ranger, a time-traveling group. Sounds like S.P.D might be in trouble with this group. Now we move on to the Time Force Rangers themselves. Okay everybody, this is Time Force's Red Ranger, and until later on in the series, he becomes their leader eventually. He doesn't portray so much as a leader though, but as a guy who is slowly becoming his own person, not following in his footsteps of his father, who had intended for him to be just like him, but through the years he only distanced himself from his father and developed more discipline from being a ranger, and eventually with the 6th Ranger led the Silver Hill Guardian. What this season did that the other seasons never did was have the Pink Ranger be a strong, confident leader, aka Time Force Pink. Jen, for the first time, she was a complete badass until West showed more motivation and development. She stayed as leader, and speaking of develop, she was so badass she started a thing with her fiance's ancestor, and that's just bam in your face, Alex. Lucas is vainly obsessed with two things, looks and cars, and in the year 3000 he is a race car driver and acts as a big brother figure to Trip. Lucas is also cool, quote, cool. The sort of guy whom everyone seems jealous of, especially Trip. Damn, Trip, you just jealous. And seems to be a big hit with the ladies. And he's not the best Blue Ranger by far, but his character is great. Trip is the naive member of the team. Since his society is one without secrets, as such, he sometimes is gullible, leading to negative consequences. Trip looks up to the other Rangers, but is a good Ranger in his own right. He's extremely skilled with technology, having created the Electro Booster weapon, as well as the robotic owl, that's right, an owl, Circuit, whom he is very close to. Trip is also willing to stand up for what he believes is right, such as when he tried to protect a mutant named Noticon, who did not want to be evil, yeah, get that, from being destroyed by Eric Myers. Just because Nocticon was a mutant, Trip even put himself on the line to protect the poor mutant, and Eric deliberately missed the pair, sparing them. Damn, Trip, you just all kinds of crazy. Gifted with unnatural strength that might be the product of genetic engineering, Katie is always open with her feelings, a sharp contrast to the conservative Jen. She is shown to be very affectionate and loving to her teammates, especially the Trip, who she is seen usually hugging or being overly protective of, which makes her a great Yellow Ranger. Alright guys, it is time to analyze their weapons, arsenal, vehicles, whatever. I will be looking mainly at the main weapons and the Red Ranger's Battleizer. We're going to kick things off with the Time Force badge. It was a form of identification for each Ranger. It could cryogenically freeze monsters in time until they were put on trial. Basically, it turned them into action figures. That's right, they had the action figures within them. Yeah. Alrighty there. One up on the Time Force. Next up on their weapons list is the Chrono Morpher. These morphers could display holographic images and imprint the DNA of the wearer so that the only person in question could wear it, or someone with similar DNA, such as a blood relative, could use the morpher. The Chrono Morpher can also display holographic images as such when communicating with a fellow Ranger. So, you get the whole holographic thing. The next weapon up for him is the Chrono Blaster, the standard weapon of all Time Force officers, Ranger or not. The Ranger's Chrono Blasters have Ranger color coded decals and also typically fire Ranger color coded beams. The next one is the Chrono Sabers, double-ended swords used by the Time Force Rangers, held at the position of clock arms. At 3 o'clock they deliver a powerful finishing blow in mid-air to take out the monster of the week. Next is their Vector Weapons. The Vector Weapons are massive blasters that require 2 hands to hold. Each Ranger has one, and they all fire bolts of energy of the same color as the Rangers using it, with a finisher that combines all of them to make the Voltec Bazooka. A bazooka! Its finishing attack to recapture Launder prisoners is press refreezer. It refreezes them. It hits them so hard it turns them into an action figure. Holy cow. Just wow. Alright, the next one up is the Battleizer, the Red Ranger's Battleizer. The Battle Warrior armor is used by Wesley Collins, Red Time Force Ranger, to turn him into the Red Battle Warrior. The Time Force Rangers came face to face with a Black Knight, not a Black Knight, who wanted to open up a sealed box, then held the Battleizer's power. However, only one, pure of heart, could open it. So when Wes managed to obtain the box from the dragon guarding it, holy crap, a dragon? He received the Battleizer. It comes with gold plate armor and a battle fire sword with its devastating attack called Flaming Strike. Alright guys, now we move on to my favorite subject of the matter, the original Megazords. Time for the first Megazord of the Time Force, called Timeforce Megazord. It's a simple 5-jet combining Megazord, which instead of sitting down and piloting the Megazord when it combines, they use their chronosables to move the Megazord. It has two modes, a red mode, which is formed with green and blue time flyers becoming the legs, red making the body and head, and pink and yellow becoming the arms, while the rings of the red and the nose shield of the pink and yellow combine to become a shield. It is armed with a Timeforce Megazord saber, allowing it to use a saber strike to freeze enemies. Mode Blue is optimized for speed, and it can use the Time Jet in Blaster mode. Mode Blue is formed with pink and yellow time flyers forming the legs, red making the head and body, and green and blue forming the arms. It uses the nose and cockpit section of the red time flyer to form its head. So the head is more triangular than that of mode red. The finishing move for mode blue involves using the time jet in gun mode to freeze enemies, henceforth turning them back into action figures. And I guess you can say his head is in the cockpit. Alrighty guys, that was the basic Time Force team. Now it's time to learn about their opponent, Power Rangers SPD, or Space Patrol Delta. The story takes place in the year 2025 after Earth has welcomed alien beings to live peacefully with the human race. But peace is short-lived as the planet-conquering Tuburian Empire turns its destructive attention to Earth. When the Earth's first line of defense, the SPD A Squad, vanishes without a trace, the protection of the planet falls to their replacements, the B Squad Rangers, and their commander, Nubis Kruger. And that's the start of the Power Rangers SPD. Now to me, Jack has the most development out of everybody becoming the Red Ranger, a former street thief alongside his best friend Elizabeth, aka Z. Jack volunteered to become the Red B Squad Ranger in order to save Z's life, as well as those of the other Rangers, and took over as team leader. To the heir of Sky Tate, at first he took his position as team leader very lightly, but has since proven himself to be a very capable leader, albeit one who often clashes with the chain of command. He formed a slightly uneasy but respect-based relationship with Sky, taking tactical suggestions from him in the field and helping him deal with his issues. Sky joined SPD and was on top of B Squad on weapons and fighting, along with his alien friend Drew. Abiding by SPD's rules and regulations, Sky was very neat and precise. Yet, with this attitude, he became arrogant and believed himself to be above everyone else that broke the rules, when he himself did everything precisely to the book. He was usually the first one to be hard on teammate Bridge Carson's habits and ways of thinking, but Sky was always the first to apologize when he was wrong in areas where Bridge was right. As time went on, Sky began to loosen up and enjoy the other things in life a bit more. Though he always kept himself battle ready when called upon, despite his attitude, his teammates thought highly of him, calling him the best ranger of the SPD B Squad. As Green Ranger, Bridge and his teammates experienced many adventures together, from earning the new SWAT mode upgrade to facing the corrupted A Squad in battle. Bridge comes off as a smart, intelligent. He can sense people's aura about them, and he seemed to be a really good Green Ranger. Basically, in Ranger form, there's the blue and black, or there's blue and green, and he fits perfectly as a Green Ranger for SPD, as I put it. She spent most of her life living on the streets, helping the homeless by stealing from those more fortunate. She desired to be a part of something bigger, and when arrested by SPD, was offered that chance by Commander Kruger when he made her the Yellow Ranger. Z is the one who always looks out for those who are less fortunate or being picked on. That is what makes her one of the better Yellow Rangers of Power Rangers. And she can also make copies of herself, which is awesome. Sydney came from a rich family, and although being spoiled definitely shows on her, she was the heart of the team. She took pride in her looks and accomplishments as a model, singer, and fencer, but her appearance could fool anyone, as she could hold her own as the SPD Pink Ranger. Sid started off shallow and was quick to think about herself and her appearance. When Z first moved into her room, she was not happy at all. She was one of the 3 original SPD B Squad Rangers, along with Sky and Bridge. And it wasn't until Jack's birthday, because he didn't know when his birthday was or whatever, that she finally developed more of a character and stopped caring about herself and started caring more about others. And to me, she's a so-so SPD Pink Ranger. Alright guys, it's time to move on to the weapons of the SPD Rangers. As I said before, I will include the Battleizers, but SPD special because they also have a mode that is just for the original 5, so I'm going to include that one too, which is the SWAT mode. I will talk about that later. And as I said before, I'm also including the Battleizer. I know I just said it, but I'm reinstating it because it is part of the Red Ranger's development. Alright, so now we move on to the first weapon, which is the Delta Morphers. The Delta Morphers are the Morphers of B Squad. As I said before, what is a Ranger without its Morpher? They can activate their Morphers by a call of S.P.D. Emergency. This device lets them judge and contain the criminals if they are found guilty. Basically, they click the little top button on top after they do a big finishing move. It scans them, it goes up and down whether it's guilty or not. If they are found guilty, they get sent into a little hard prison thing. And it's pretty good. It's a pretty good morpher. I like it. Now we move on to the next weapon. Delta Max Strikers is next on our weapons list. This common Ranger weapon resides at the side inside its holster in laser mode. The Delta Max Strikers are highly versatile and can be used for both short and long range attacks, meaning they can switch between laser and then into a sword. Each Ranger, except the Red Ranger, he's special. Trust me, I'll get to him. Have the same Delta Max knuckle, while their blades vary in different sizes. The next weapon for the SPD is SPD Red Ranger's Delta Blasters. The Delta Blasters are twin side-ons specific for the Red Ranger. They can be used to fire intense laser blasts. Once combined, they form the Delta Blaster combo mode. Red Ranger can fire a highly concentrated blast enough to defeat the enemy. Basically, they go from pistols, combine them, they make a shotgun. That is the Red Ranger's Delta Blaster. Basically, the other Rangers have a laser sword combination. He's got a pistol shotgun combination. Oh yeah. Alright, the next weapon is RIC or RIC 2.0, which is, I call it Rick. Robotic Interactive Canine. A robotic dog with multiple special features. Rick was scheduled for retirement before being severely damaged while on a mission with Sid. In an effort to prevent Rick from being discarded, Sid turns to Bridge for help. With assistance from Boom, Bridge reinvents Rick, dubbing him Rick 2.0. In his upgraded form, Rick is able to transform into a weapon for the Rangers called the Canine Cannon. When the bone-shaped key, is placed into his mouth, which lets them activate the Canine Cannon and lets them do that big finisher with it. It's basically the thing that they combine all the weapons with, but this one's just a canine dog. Rick was later upgraded to be used in the Red Ranger's Battleizer system. Again, we'll get to that later. Forming the Sonic Mode armor. SWAT mode. SWAT mode includes vest, armor, legs, sensors, and communication headset. SWAT has many valuable functions, including heat sinking and night vision. The Rangers summon this armor via their morphers, and this mode is based off the actual SWAT team and actual law enforcement agencies. And no SWAT team mode, no SWAT team anything would be without their weapon. The weapon of choice is the Delta Enforcer, when the standard weapon of the Power Rangers when they are in their SWAT mode. Each Enforcer comes with 3 cards, each with different purposes. To activate them, the Ranger must pull open the hatch on top of the blaster, which reveals a card holder. Then they must pull the card out, slide it in on the side of the blaster for full effect. Basically, it upgrades the Enforcers and gives them a little bit more kick in there. Okay, now time for the Battleizer for SPD Red Ranger. The SPD Battleizer, based off the technology of the Omega Morpher, and can only be used by the Red Ranger, henceforth the Red Ranger's Battleizer. Cat installed the Battleizer technology into Rick's system. It has 2 modes. Cyber mode, which he activates by saying, SPD Battleizer. Rick comes running, giving Red the Magnum Morpher. The Red Ranger catches the Morpher in a stance, presses the button while saying, Cyber mode, activate! Gaining an energy sword, metallic gauntlets, and metallic greaves. The Battleizer increases the Red Ranger's power and agility. Basically, he becomes a little bit stronger, a little bit faster, and a little bit tougher. The next mode, the main mode as I like to call. To activate, the Red Ranger must put his sword away, then he breaks some hand moves, and says Battleizer, Sonic mode. The Red Ranger runs with Rick, the energy sword disappears, then they fly in mid-air. Rick transforms into the Battleizer armor, attaches to the Red Ranger. The Red Ranger gains foot armor. Rick's outer body turns into armor, and Rick's head and spine becomes the sword. The Red Ranger then says Battleizer Mode 2 complete. Sonic mode comes with its own finishing move. The sword becomes a flaming sword, then the Ranger flies up in the air and releases 4 streaks of fire from the sword, with the last one destroying the enemy or enemies. The finishing move can also be used to capture an enemy or enemies in a containment card. Wow, that's just wow. Time Force Red Ranger's Battleizer might be in trouble with this one. Alright guys, this is the favorite part of mine. The Delta Squad Megazord is the primary Megazord of SPD, and its weapons are law enforcement themed. Delta Runner 1, a police car, becomes the head, the main torso, and the upper legs. Delta Runner 4, a police boat, and 5, an ambulance, serve as the arms. Delta Runner 2, a police chopper, and 3, a prisoner transporter, become the lower legs. It is armed with weapons such as the Mega Blaster and Delta Sword. It also comes equipped with a giant version of the Judgment Scanner built into its left arm, which, after the finishing move that turns him into a toy, determines if the monster is guilty or innocent. And that will wrap it up for the SPD. Alrighty guys, with all that out of the way, it's time to vote for who you guys think will win between the futuristic police force Power Rangers. But before I tell you guys who I think should win, I'll give you some excellent episodes to watch. Power Rangers SPD, Episode 1 and 2, Beginnings, Episode 18, Samurai, Episode 24 and 25, Reflections, Part 1 and 2, good story arc for Sky, and of course, I gotta go up with the Team Up, Episode 35, Wormhole. And a fun little fact, all of SPD's episodes is a single title name. No the Quantum Curse or anything like that. Those are my suggested episodes to watch for SPD. Now on to Time Force. No time pun intended. Episode 1 and 2, Forces from the Future, is a great way to kick off the Power Rangers season. Episode 13, The Quantum Quest. Episode 32, Beware the Night. Episode 33, Time for Lightspeed, the big team up thing with Lightspeed. And the 3-part grand finale, all 3 of the last episodes of Time Force, one of the best story arcs to close a Power Ranger season by far. You know, I'm a real hard Lightspeed guy, but this story arc was one of the best storytelling out there. Well guys, those are my suggested episodes to watch of both teams. Well, for me, I think the winner between these two would be Time Force, but that's just my opinion. I think they have better technology and you know, they're further into the future. Alright guys, that's going to wrap up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will reveal the winner in the history of Toonami Part 2. So as always, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Alrighty guys, it's time to kick it, and thanks for watching.